Hello everyone, welcome to Segi College Kuala Lumpur live webinar on Facebook as well as YouTube channel. For all of you guys here, please do share this with all your friends and ask them to join in as well. Before we begin, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Tarshini and I am a final year student of Segi College Kuala Lumpur, University of Greenwich Accounting and Finance program. Thank you so much for all of you guys here for taking time out to attend this webinar titled Heat of Tax during the COVID-19 pandemic. Before I introduce the speaker for the day, I would just like to give a short overview of what we are going to cover today. Naturally, we students would evidence numerous challenges faced by entrepreneurs during this unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic. And through this webinar, we would like to stress that basic tax knowledge is vital. Irrespective of this crucial situation, tax challenges are inevitable as tax authorities' expectation and compliance requirement in general is to be met on timely basis. We believe that young students and young graduates like us would have the opportunity through this live session to understand broad spectrum of tax scrutinization in Malaysia by a tax controversy practitioner of TraTax. And now I would like to introduce our speaker for the day. We have the Honorable Speaker, Mr. Ranganathan, partner of TraTax, as well as member of ACCA Malaysian Advisory Committee and has served as a council member of Malaysian Institute of Accountants MIA for 3 consecutive years. Besides, Mr. Ranga is also a member of various local as well as international professional body and is a very familiar face at various tax forum and seminar. It is a great pleasure and honor having you here today, Mr. Ranga. And with Mr. Ranga, we also have 3 participants of the final years of Segi College Kuala Lumpur that would be joining us in this interactive session later. But now, without further ado, I would like to pass this session over to Mr. Ranga.
Hi, thank you so much, Destiny, for your kind introduction, and hi to everyone. Yes, and thanks for the organizers, Segi, to having me on board and to share to our youngsters on this topic of heat of tax. So now, why we call this heat of tax? Pandemic. This is unprecedented situation. It's not something norm or that we predict. But nevertheless, businessmen, entrepreneurs, and a lot of people are having challenges, multiple challenges, various challenges, irrespective, no matter what, like what Tarshini have explained earlier. Tax compliance, tax dues, tax obligations, tax responsibilities, irrespective of our situation, taxpayers and business owners and have to pay their fulfill their obligations and responsibilities on timely basis. But what if they fail to do? Okay, what if they fail to do? Revenue authorities, tax authorities, one of the key role that tax authorities which normally carry out is scrutinization or enforcement, or in simple language, it calls desk audit or tax investigation. It may sound so simple, desk audit, tax audit, or tax investigation, but there's so many layers and so many processes to begin with on in scrutinization process. Okay, and so with this pandemic, how it is going to be our future? Now, generally, because now we have WFO and also WFH, working from home, working from office practice, and it may not consistent on day-to-day basis. It depends on the size and organization's practice. But key here is documentation. Will they have the capability? Can they manage the documents? And can they extract the documents when revenue authority is looking for the document? Now, normal situation, generic situation is put that aside. Now, in this situation, uh, challenging situation, how we are going to manage it? If we fail to manage our documents, if we fail to maintain our documents, when one fine day tax authority requests for it, do we have the capability to manage it? So that's what we are going to look at. Okay, and what type of activities that IRB can carry out, from which angle, what type of tools that they have. We have very limited time here today, about 40 minutes, 40 to 45 minutes. Let's see what we can cover lightly and move on with that. Yeah, over to you, Dashri.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ranga, for that insightful information. Now I would like to invite three of our participants, beginning with Ang Min Hui, to pose questions to Mr. Ranga.
Good day, Mr. Ranga. My question is, do you have any suggestion like precaution can give for taxpayer after the pandemic end? Yeah, that's my question.
Thanks, Mani. Thanks for your question. Yeah, precaution. That's a very good term. Knowing that we are going through a challenging situation now at the moment, it is my only advice is at this point of time is, irrespective whatever the situation is, please maintain the documents. Please maintain the documents. It can be, I mean, taxpayers can decide to downsize or decide to sell their practice or sell their business or partner with someone else. Nevertheless, now we are in 2020, we have to maintain our documents for past 6 to 7 years. That is our key responsibility. And moving forward, we still have to maintain our documents. Okay, so only documents, your supporting documents, your primary documents, your secondary documents will be there for you, for taxpayers. Okay, so that is what I will advise as a precaution measurement at this point of time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ranga, for addressing that question. Now we have the second participant, Yamuna, to pose her question.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ranga. Good afternoon, sir. My question would be, is there any changes in the tax system after this pandemic?
Okay, just about 1 hour ago, Prime Minister have announced few packages and all these things. I never get a chance to go through all the information. Anyway, your question is changes in the system. Our system is pretty straightforward, and system is in place for many years. And at the moment, we are under self-assessment system. Prior to that, we were practicing under official assessment system. Okay, so I don't foresee a major change in the system because self-assessment system are quite a generally applied system in most countries. Basically, being a taxpayer is responsible for his tax records, his accounting records, his tax returns, and including his assessment. Okay, so with those documents, he is highly. One second. Okay, so with those system, which is in a prevailing system, we don't foresee a lot of changes, but there might be some reliefs and some rebates or some incentives might be extended for taxpayers. But that generally in Malaysia, all these incentives and tax cuts, major cuts, all this will be announced during budget. Okay, so our budget will be generally stable. It is scheduled somewhere in the month of October or November. So it's good to observe changes and changes in the system, and also revision of tax rates or reduction of tax rates during the budget. Okay, so now at the moment, all these packages and stimulus packages and all these things is basically to assist business owners during this pandemic situation. So connecting back to Minghui's earlier point, precaution. Taxpayers might be exercising and enjoying benefits during, due to all these government stimulus packages. Those documents are also required to be maintained. For example, grants, subsidies, and incentives to people directly, and also incentives to organizations directly. So all these documents, because now at the moment everything is online. It's good, of course, it's good to deal transactions with online, but at the same time, what I would like to appeal here is, please store the documents. It can be in the cloud or physical form or in your file at your office or at home, but please maintain the documents. That is vital. So back to your changes. I don't foresee a big major change in our system, because our system, self-assessment system, has been introduced for individuals in 2004, whereas for companies it was introduced in 2000. Okay, so it's fairly a new system, because prior to that we used to have this official assessment system. Under official assessment, since we are engaging with students, maybe I'd like to share the difference between official assessment system and self-assessment system. Now, under the official assessment system, as a taxpayer, I have to maintain my documents and I have to furnish my tax returns together with my financial statements, together with my supporting documents, together with my dividend vouchers, together with my insurance premiums, on whatever the relief I'm claiming for, I have to claim, even including a copy of birth certificate of child, or if let's say if it's been divorced and divorce status, or marriage status, or marriage certificate, all these copies, all the relevant copies, whatever changes taken place in prior year, that have to be communicated to tax authority. This is how our system used to be prior to 2004. Okay, the tax return is a very simple tax return, but you have to furnish with all the supporting documents. And one fine day, tax authority will confirm the assessment, confirm the tax return by issuing notice of assessment or notice of additional assessment. That's a process. So when they introduced self-assessment system in 2004 for individuals and for 2000 for companies, that's a major change in the system. Basically, taxpayer is responsible to maintain their records. Taxpayer is responsible to furnish the tax return. And the day that taxpayer furnished tax return, as a deeming provision, that tax authority issued notice of assessment. Okay, so the day that you furnish your tax return over the counter at income tax department, that's a day, whatever that you computed in the tax return, it has been deemed that Director General of Inland Revenue have given you, have served you the notice of assessment. We call Borang J. So old days, under the official assessment system, every assessment you will find a Borang J. Whereas under the self-assessment system, no Borang J. Borang J doesn't exist. Only JA exists. Now, what is JA? The Borang, the tax return that you furnish, it is deemed as notice of assessment. So let's say DG or someone from IRB, an audit officer, is inquiring, assessing your records, and they are not satisfied with your records. Therefore, they are disallowing certain relief. They're disallowing certain transactions. They are disallowing, or maybe they found out that one of your part-time income is not declared, so they're adding back the income, even though they could reach you or they couldn't reach you. It's a different topic, but they have the power to record assessment. So once assessment has been recorded, that notice, that document is called as JA. It's basically notice of additional assessment. Okay, so J doesn't exist unless in your back to our earlier example, let's say you have submitted a tax with nil tax or nil no chargeable situation at all, but when IRB carry out an audit via the enforcement action or scrutinization process, they find that you have to pay some taxes. Since you don't have a J, since it's a nil tax return, they'll issue a J. So this is how J exists. So old days, I mean, before 2000 or before 2004 for individuals, J, notice of assessment, will be issued for every respective year of assessment based on the submission. But now under the self-assessment system, no, it won't be issued. So taxpayer ultimately responsible for their records, their returns, their financial affairs, and including their taxes. If they pay their taxes lately, still they have to pay the penalty. I mean, it's all this automated. All this has been automated under the self-assessment system. Okay, Yamuna, I hope that satisfies your inquiry. Yamuna?
Thank you so much for that very informative session, Mr. Ranga. I'm pretty sure Yamuna is satisfied with that answer, as well as a lot of students would have got a better understanding of the tax system as well. And now we also have another question from another participant. Her name is Farhana.
Hello, Mr. Ranga and everybody. I'm Farhana. My question is about because of COVID-19, nowadays online business has become a great demand because of people's preference is shifting to online shopping. Even for me during the Ramadan period, because there were no Bazaar Ramadan, stalls began to do some online selling, and I purchased through like GrabFood and other medium and platform for purchasing. So I would like to know how is the tax enforcement for the online sellers as per this COVID-19. Hope you can discuss on that, Mr. Renga.
Thanks, Farhana. That's a very good question. Now, on behalf of IRB, I can't answer, but I can tell you, I can share with you what type of tools and what type of techniques that they have. What they can do, I can't answer, but what they could do, maybe I can share. Okay. Now, it's a very good point. Now, when Farhana, when you reach out Grab Food, those businesses established with license and all this, I mean, let's say they have a proper shops and all these things, fine, you can see them, they exist. But what about those businesses who are unincorporated? They have never registered. Okay, they're not registered, and they just do part-time business. And due to this MCO, now they started doing it as a full-time business or what? This kind of situation. Okay. Now, whatever that they're doing now, whatever transaction takes place now this year, it is their duty to furnish taxes, keep their financial records, draw their profit and loss, and submit for their taxes on top of their employment income or on top of their routine income. This is a separate income. It is good to declare next year upcoming tax return for YA 2020 in 2021. Now, if they don't do, I'm connecting back to your question. If they don't do, what will happen? See, if they don't do, of course, tax and debt is the most. I mean, it's you can't avoid tax and debt. You can't avoid. Okay, that's how liquid and forceful tax is. So, what they could do, let's say they have excessive cash or decent cash or sizable cash. Okay, now we are going to a challenging situation, so it's a different issue. But let's say they have good amount of decent cash. Now with cash, number one, you'll keep in the bank, or number two, you'll buy something. Number three, you'll keep the money for some time and try to do something, or you'll spend. Definitely, you'll spend the money, or you'll keep it. Now, how much money you can keep at home? Definitely more than a tolerable or a decent size. You will be keeping that keeping money at bank. That is a proper medium. So one fine day when your let's say based on your tax returns, your net worth is, for example, is about 500,000, 500,000. But one fine day when IRB carry out scrutinization, all this process, turns out your net worth is actually not 1 million. Your net worth is actually about, say, for example, 800,000. So that's about 300,000 ringgit difference. I'm giving you a very simple example. Okay, that will be a normal situation. Normally, it will be a big jump. Okay, so 500 and 800, 300,000 ringgit difference, which is uh, more than half than what you have reported actually, right? So what are the source for this wealth? What are the source for this gap? Can you explain? Okay, so that's why it's good to declare on time to time basis without failure. It's good. It's always good to do it on timely basis. It's better to be proactive rather than they ask you a question and you are not unexplainable situation. Okay, so what they could do, how they could carry out enforcement action. When, for let's say, I'll give you another example. Let's say Abdul, Inche Abdul paid tax about 2,000 ringgit on every year. Okay, so that's his capability. So for 2,000 ringgit taxes, let's say for example, he could afford to buy say a 70,000 ringgit value car. Comfortably could afford that. Okay, but the car that he bought is actually not 70,000 ringgit. It's about 170,000 ringgit. Okay, it's more than what he could afford. IRB can pick up for audit or can raise inquiries at any point of time. Okay, this is for vehicle. Take the same situation, go back to immovable property, land and building. Even easy to track, very easy to track. Even IRB still practice this. When you buy a piece of land or piece of good, decent size of, above than your profile property, they will quickly write a letter, clarification letter. We understand that you have a property. Please clarify the following stuff that we would like to know. Number one, when you bought, how much you bought, what are your source of fund, and what are you intend to use it, by when you are expecting this to be completed, what are the deposit and how much loan you're going for, and who are the borrowers, this kind of stuff. So if it is not satisfactory, of course, they will carry out further investigation or further audit. Okay, so these are, whatever I told you, these are standard enforcement action, which is now to date it's pretty much automated. They are very good machines, very well trained people. So very much, it's very well automated, and IRB do carry out tons of scrutinization process. In fact, I just came from IRB, had a meeting and just came for this session 30 minutes before. Okay, so they're very active. I hope that's satisfactory. Darshini?
Yes, I'm pretty sure that was satisfactory for all of us. I think this is such a new information for us, Mr. Ranga. We don't really get to know all this informations on normal, on just like our books and stuff. So this is really new informations. And also, Yamuna has another questions as well, Mr. Ranga, that she would like to pose to you.
Hello, sir. So my second question would be, if a person can't afford to pay their taxes, what should they do?
Okay, now why they can't afford taxes? If the taxes are excessive and they can't pay, Okay, before that, why they can't afford? Let's say they have, because taxes you will be paying for the income that you have earned. By right, you should budget the tax, and because in tax system you have advanced tax payment method for businesses, and for those who are in employment sector, your taxes will be calculated on month-to-month basis, on advanced basis, and your employer is responsible for knocking off that, setting off the tax from your salary, and your employer is also responsible to satisfy the taxes to IRB as an employer. That's an employer's responsibility. So generally, taxes will be captured in advance, but whereas for business and companies, there's about 30 to 40% buffer that you can expect that there will be additional cash flow outlay will be incurred in any. Okay, that's how it works. So now with this system, under the self-assessment system, if you obey this self-assessment system, should be manageable. If you, provided if you manage your timeline and you manage your resources, should be manageable. Now, when it will become unaffordable? It will become unaffordable in few situations. Situation one, when you don't furnish your tax return at all, and IRB just impose a tax based on best estimation basis, based on your past record. Let's say, for example, 2010 to 2020, you only furnish your taxes for first 5 years, which is 2010 up to 2015. 16, 17, 18, 19, you never furnish your taxes. Okay, therefore 2020, IRB just estimate your taxes based on your previous records and submit their record assessments. So in that situation, it becomes unaffordable. Possibility one. Possibility two, let's say, for example, you have paid taxes all the way for the 10 years. Your tax is about 2,000 ringgit plus. Gradually, it has been increased. Let's say early 2000, maybe about a few hundred. Then lately, early 2010, let's say it's about few hundreds. And lately, 2018, 19, reach about 1,000 plus, 2,000 plus, let's say, for example. When they carry out enforcement action, when they carry out audit, looks like you have insurance income, looks like you have some celebrity, influencers, right? We have a lot of influencers nowadays. So a lot of influencers, they receive cash, or they receive, they'll be rewarded in kind. This is all taxable benefits, okay? Because you are rendering your services, being an influencer. That's why I understand. Being an influencer, you are rendering your services for brands and merchants for your followers, and they are giving you something. That something can be in kind or in cash form. So for tax, as long as you receive something in kind or cash form, and like kind is something valuable, you can convertible into cash, then it's taxable benefit. Okay, and that is not employment nature. It is business. Those influencers, for their information, it is business, not employment, because you don't have a master over there. You are a service provider. So influencer income, let's say, because those who have extended that reward to you in kind or cash will be recording that expense item in their book as an expense item. So if it is an expense item in my book, it's a revenue item in your book. Therefore, you have to pay. You have to furnish your taxes. So let's say they find out all these things. Then they import. Okay, fine, Yamuna, you have about 100,000 ringgit income being an influencer on past 4 years. So in aggregate, about 400,000 ringgit you have earned as an influencer, and looks like you never declare your income. Therefore, I add back your income, 400,000 ringgit, and your taxes and penalties is what, approximately about 150,000 to 170,000 ringgit. Then it becomes unaffordable. Okay, can you fight? Yes, you can fight, provided you have documents. I don't want to use the word fight. Can you appeal? Yes, you can appeal. That's the right term. Okay, there are procedures for you to appeal. So point to your fans or influencers or people who already started earning income, if you started earning income, please declare. Okay, there's no age restriction for declaration, tax declaration. An important point, whether it's legal income or illegal income, still it is taxable. Likewise, age, there's no restriction, age restriction. Okay, so to vote, you have age restriction, taxes, no restriction. As long as you earn income, welcome to the board. You have to pay taxes. If you don't pay your taxes, when IRB carry out enforcement actions, then your taxes, the bill will go higher and higher. So the sooner that you go for it, better. Okay, it will be affordable. Now, ending point on back to Yamuna's question. If it is not affordable, you can apply for installment. But if it is not affordable and you just keep quiet and you never take any action, what will happen? They will impose penalties. Within 30 days from the date of assessment, they will impose 10% penalties. If you don't satisfy, then within another 30 to 60 days, then another 5% penalties will be imposed. So penalties will be imposed. Okay, so your cost of failure to pay the taxes on timely basis will be easily 15.5%. Let's say, I'll give you another situation. Let's say, back to Yamuna's influencer income. Let's say her tax about 170,000 ringgit, and they give you about 17 months installments, for example. So every month you have to pay 10,000 ringgit. If you can't pay the 10,000 ringgit, then they will impose another 10% penalties. So penalty on penalty. Okay, but generally in tax system, penalty stops at 15.5. Further penalties will be imposed if you carry out further offenses. So moral of the story is, if you do everything, if you do stuffs on timely basis, you discharge your responsibilities on timely basis, the sooner that you do, easier. Because now you might be 20 plus. I understand there's so many influences out there, 20 plus, but are they declaring taxes? I don't think so. Can they escape? I don't think so. How long they escape? I don't know. Can IRB go after them? Yes, they can. How IRB can go after? There's so many means and methods. We can talk for half day. Okay, and IRB is very well equipped with machines, tools, and people are very well trained as well. And most of the people, why they get into trouble? Because of their own social media. Okay, so I hope so. If they do it everything properly, it won't. They won't be facing unaffordable situation. Maybe beside all this, there's also some grounds why tax is become excessive and so hit, because taxes might be recorded due to technical adjustments, interpretations, timing differences, and for you might be deductible revenue nature, and IRB might debate, no, this is not revenue nature, or you shouldn't declare in this year, it should be a different year, or maybe this is capital nature. Those stuffs, if you have documents, definitely we can all go all the way. So there's so proper methods and means under the act. This is our act, the Income Tax Act. This is our mother act, and everything has been well written and well guided, and we have to follow this. For tax authorities or taxpayers or tax consultants, this is our main book. This is our mother book. Okay, over to you, Darshini.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Ranga. This question, it was so informative for us. Like, it's such an eye-opening for us also. And also I think this would be helpful for other people as well who are actually evading tax. Maybe they would know more about this after what you have shared with us. And Mr. Ranga, we have one question which is from the audience, and the question is: any relief or rebate will be expected for the current year only, right? There wouldn't be any changes for assessment year 2019, right? That was the question from Mr. Sasi Ganesh.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Sasi. Any relief or rebate will be expected for the current year only, right? You are right. Yeah, you are right. You are right, Mr. Sasi, because now we are in 2020. So when you're in 2020, your dues are for 2019. Okay, so for that, what they have given you as an incentive, as an allowance, they've given you a time allowance. Rather than submitting your taxes by 30th April, they have given you 2 months extension. For businesses, from 30th June, they have given 2 month extension, which is until August. So this type of time allowance. I also believe if, let's say, taxes are excessive, or let's say, for example, out of your budget, then maybe you can ask for a short installment. Short installment, as in which is about 3 months. This is case to case, subject to officers, subject to branch, subject to the particular district approval. But you can try, definitely you can try on this kind of stuff. Now back to your any changes in relief and rebate for 2019? No, we can't expect any changes for 2019 because that is for past income earned in 2019. You will be furnishing your tax returns in 2020 for year of assessment 2019, which is last year. Therefore, we can't expect any incentive will be extended for 2019, but they have given time allowance, and maybe you can extend your payments with short installments. Yeah, that's all from me.
Thank you for addressing that question, Mr. Ranga. And we have one final question, which will be from our participant, from Farhana. Farhana?
Hi. So, okay, sir, in accordance to my question just now about the usual tax enforcement for online sellers, there is also another tax they will need to pay, which is a new tax called digital tax. Can you give a brief view on this and how does it differ from the usual tax enforcement? Because it's kind of new in Malaysia, so it would be really helpful if you can discuss it.
Okay, thanks, Farhana. Now, connecting back, this is back to your earlier question as well. So connecting back to on digital tax. See, now for sales and service tax is pretty much managed by customs. Okay, whereas IRB, let's say you are incurring there are transactions taken place outside Malaysia, then something called withholding taxes as well. So beside digital tax, that is another tax that we have to take into consideration. So basically, digital tax, which has been introduced in many countries, and this is something new for us. It will be collected, or it will be a standard rate based on face value rather than like your income tax. Okay, so basically it's a face value tax, imposition of tax based on the face value, and hope it will goes on smooth sail in Malaysia. So enforcement wise, what I shared with you earlier, the similar enforcement action, they have this best audit tax investigation from those days, colonial period. But now, to date, we have about 14 layers of enforcement, from desk audit, tax investigation 1, 2, transfer pricing, international tax, MNCs, aggressive tax planning units. In fact, they also have focused audits against like professionals, F&B industries, housing developers, contractors, VVIPs, HNWs, politically exposed people. So they have so many focus groups and very good tools and techniques. So I believe that they will be similar enforcement action will be carried out in similar mean and method as well. So having these tools and know-how in place, I believe it will be similar enforcement and nothing special or nothing additional. It will be more or less similar. Okay. Another point here is on compliance. So general rule in compliance is, like, for example, I can share with you on withholding tax. It will be a good example. Let's say, for example, you are supposed to pay, you rendered your foreign service providers services, and let's say that's about 1 million ringgit, for example, 1 million ringgit bill tender, and for that 1 million ringgit, you have to deduct his taxes from that 1 million ringgit. Let's say, for example, you have treaty with that country, okay, that they belong to. Then instead of 15% of withholding tax, probably it's about, let's say, for example, 10%. So this 10%, if you fail to withhold and remit, in certain situation, foreign service providers will say, no, I want my 1 million. If you want to pay taxes, you can regross it. Okay, that will be a cost for us business people in Malaysia. Otherwise, if you follow the traditional method, 1 million minus 100,000, so they will receive 900,000, and tax authority will receive 100,000. So what will happen is the business owner here in Malaysia, they have to comply that rule. If they fail to comply that rule, the entire 1 million will be disregarded. Okay, so this kind of compliance rules and regulations in place always. So end of the day, the underlying pin here is the responsibility lies upon the taxpayer during their yearly compliance machinery. So that's how it works. Over to you.
Thank you again, Mr. Rega, for addressing this question as well. And that's all we have from the question. Thank you so much, Mr. Ranga, for being with us today and taking time out of your very busy schedule and giving us this informative session today. We have learned so much, not only me, I'm pretty sure that there'll be so many students that will benefit from this information that you have shared with us, and also so many people out there will be benefiting from this. And for everyone who attended it today, thank you so much for being with us today. Hope this informative session has benefited all of you guys. And for anyone who would like to, or any similar events such, please do like the Segi College Kuala Lumpur's social media web pages to stay updated, guys. Thank you so much for attending this event.